All right, well, welcome everybody. I hope you enjoyed that extra minute of anticipation here. There's a lot going on. So I just want to say thank you everybody for coming out today. This is the first time I actually have done one of these here in Palo Alto. I'm really excited. We do these ObsCON on the road events kind of everywhere. We had one earlier this morning in Tokyo. I've done them in Dallas, in New York, in London, and Berlin, but this is my first time here. Marc Chipouras, I'm head of emerging products with Grafana Labs and really excited about some of the work that we have going on. I'm also excited about everybody who is here in the room. We're here to dive into observability and tools, but we're really here to talk about engineering workflows and processes for you to help your engineering teams be successful. And we've got a slew of great engineers from Grafana Labs and actually customers here to talk today. And what I'm most fascinated about is they're not just engineers building products, they are actually engineers who are on call for those products as well. So they're going through the exact same challenges on how to use these observability products that you are, and how do you make your engineering culture better. So I encourage you to talk to everybody, share your challenges, learn from each other. We're all going through this together, and I guarantee none of us have it right yet. Great, we have a Slido here, so if you have any questions, go ahead and scan this QR code. We're going to keep them, and then there'll be an opportunity for Manoj and I to answer some of those questions a little bit later today. So as I mentioned, this is ObservabilityCON is something we host every fall. That's our flagship event here where we talk about our cloud products and where they're going. It's really for a focus on our products and customers. And we get to bring this to you every single, or after that. So as Tokyo, Palo Alto, San Paulo, London, we get to go to where our customers are at so that we can have these conversations together. And that's what really ObsCON on the road is all about. We also host another premier conference called GrafanaCon, and that is where we get to focus on our open source community. And this is really about projects and users coming together, understand how you can use all of Grafana's open source tools to accomplish any different challenge. That's actually going to be coming up, GrafanaCon is coming up in May in Seattle, so that's exciting as well. But that's not the only way we get to see each other in person. We run lots of workshops, we run lots of webinars, and you actually have the opportunity, if you're a Grafana customer, you can work with your account team and you can actually get a Grafana day where we can come in to your company and actually work on site with you in order to help you get better using our tools and understanding your engineering processes moving forward. Really, one of the things that I love about Grafana, we are all remote company, we are remote first, but when we get together, we're not just getting together as a team, we're getting together with our customers, and that makes it even better. All right, who is Grafana? Well, we've been doing a lot of growth over the last 10 years since we've been a company. We currently can boast that we have 25 million active users of Grafana products. That's amazing. That's open source and paid together, but that's an amazing number as far as the penetration for where Grafana is in the community. And it's unbelievable because anybody who is an engineer, who's working in operations, they have experience with Grafana tools and products. We are ubiquitous within the community, and that's a great place to be. We've been able to transition that open source momentum and be able to actually work with over 5,000 customers, paying customers actually using our products today, right? So we want a lot of people to continue using us open source, but we're looking to work in a cloud, in a paid environment with a lot of customers as well, and so we're continuing to grow. And that growth is to the tune of $250 million in revenue. We're actually a real company these days, not just a little open source side project. We're out here annualized $250 million revenue. And that means we have a lot of opportunity to continue to expand our investment in this observability space. And you can see a number of different opportunities that are represented here. But one of those things that we're maybe proud about is actually we've been recognized as a leader by Gartner. As who's kind of evaluating observability vendors out there and how our suite is broad enough in order to be considered in that area. We're certainly proud of that and actually getting ready for the next round of the Gartner review coming up. So I do want to talk a little bit about, we have a new program here, which is a startup program. Startups, I mean, we try to have products that kind of can work for everybody, whether you're open source, whether we're using Grafana Cloud in the free version, which has every feature in Grafana Cloud is included in the free version with a limited number of usage there. We also have our enterprise plan. We want to be able to hit everybody here. One of the areas in the market that we saw that we weren't really helping was startups, right? Startups have unique problems here where they're up and going with their new product and they need to scale up very rapidly, and they need to focus on user product market fit rather than just their operations. And so we announced late last year a startup program where startups can get $100,000 in credits during their first 12 months of usage here to help them ramp and accelerate and get going with a full observability suite during that time. And after that time, we're guaranteed 20% off for those customers moving forward. And so this is a way that we want to reach out to help the startup community. And for us, again, we're Grafana Labs, we're a global company. The startup community for us is not just VC-backed startups here in the Bay Area. It's actually all startups globally, whether you're VC-backed or not, and we're working with them in order to be able to support that. I think last time I looked, we had over 200 applications for this program already, which is exciting. All right, so what are we here to talk about today? It's really three things. We're talking about how we can make observability easier through our LGTM stack. That'll be kind of the first section of the talk. After that, we're going to bring up my friend Manoj here. He's going to talk a little bit about the work that we're doing in AI/ML, as well as how we're doing contextualized root cause analysis. I guess I can't be doing a talk and not say AI/ML here, so I definitely want to bring that into the room while we're doing this. All right. What then is easier LGTM? What does that actually mean? Well, LGTM stands for our open source projects. It's Loki, Grafana, Tempo, and Mimir. Those are our open source signal databases. It also happens to be logs, Grafana, traces, metrics as we're going through here, so that's maybe more relevant for everybody in the audience. I see some salespeople here, so they like to think it means let's get the money, or maybe it looks good to me. But these are our signal-based databases, which have really been focused on hands-on practitioners. They've been using PromQL and TraceQL and LogQL to get their data out of these databases in order to provide observability insights. It's really hands-on. We're really trying to help this stack appeal to a broader mainstream audience and make this easier than your hands-on adopter who needs to know every single line of code in order to be able to make it work. And so that's one of our focuses with easier LGTM. How can we actually make this appeal to a broader set of audience? One of the first things we did is we kind of built an integration strategy. So about 3 to 4 years ago, we embarked on this idea that we wanted to have default cloud integrations. As soon as you log into Grafana Cloud, in 1-2 clicks, you could automatically get insights into your popular open source tools, Postgres, Linux, whatever that is. Yeah, in fact, the first integration we built was the Linux integration, and it still happens to be our most popular integration. An integration means that we're here to support the default metrics that are coming out of Linux. We provide you a set of dashboards as well as a number of alerts in order to help you understand what's happening with that system and respond to keep it stable and available. This is our default integration strategy. I think we've gone from 0 to, I think we have 110 integrations that are running today. And these integrations are not just maintained by us, but we actually get to work with the community, with these vendors in order to make sure it's one-to-one meeting what are the best signals we can be getting from those services so that you know this is what you should be looking at when you're looking at your Spark cluster. One of the, I guess, of the popular integrations here, we do have Postgres, we've got Istio, we've got Linux, as I mentioned, the Docker. These are all our most popular integrations. But you're going to notice in this maybe rainbow up here, we're actually missing Kubernetes. It's not listed here. And we've had a Kubernetes integration for a little while. It was actually based off of the an open source project called the Kubernetes Mixin, which is near and dear to me. I actually contributed to it back in the day, so that feels good. We've actually transitioned from Kubernetes integration from being just a set of dashboards and alerts to a full-fledged React application. So you can navigate from your pod to your workload directly to the node and use that and flow between the signals inside of that. It uses both your metrics as well as your logs together to give you a full understanding of what's happening with Kubernetes. And we realized this deeper level, this application level integration is really what users like yourselves are craving. And so with that, I want to go ahead and announce that late last fall, we actually released 3 new fully fledged application integrations for cloud providers. And this gives you the same level of observability you had over the Kubernetes app, but now for cloud providers. You can log into Grafana Cloud, go ahead and give your cloud credentials, and it will automatically pull everything from CloudWatch or Google, pull that in and build it into that set of applications. So now you have observability of all your cloud logs together in one location. You did it serverlessly. You're not out there installing agents and making all that happen. And you have an interconnected, unified experience to navigate all around those resources. We're really excited about this on the next step on how we can make it easier for your teams to get up and going. What else are we up to? Well, we've had some testing products here at Grafana for quite some time. We've had, for maybe 6 or 8 years, we've had a synthetic monitoring tester that's been actually running in production for a while. Maybe 5 years ago, we purchased a company called K6, and they support the open source K6 load testing product as well. And both of these have been available in the cloud and open source for quite some time. Well, recently, we're working to bring these together to help you understand the full suite of testing that you can do in production. So synthetic monitoring is now running a version of K6 in the cloud. So all of the POPs that you were used to be able to test with synthetic monitoring, we're now running K6 in those in each one of those POPs so you can run tests. What does that mean for you as end users? Well, that means you can write a test once. You can write it over here in K6 and use it as a functional test directly within your CI/CD, and use that exact same script and run it in cloud and use it as a smoke test from around the globe in production. So you have this idea that your observability synthetics and your pre-production testing are coming together and being aligned. We're allowing you to write that test once and deploy it everywhere, and that's a big change. Along that lines, we've heard feedback that actually writing those tests can be a little bit hard. So we've gone ahead and built K6 Studios. This is our first desktop application that allows to make it easier for you writing those K6 tests, whether you're writing for a load test, whether you're writing them for a synthetic test, or whether you're writing for a scripted test. It also allows you to record browser sessions, which allows you to write browser tests. And that gives us the next thing. We've been able to do browser tests for K6 for quite some time, but now you can do these as synthetic tests as well. So we can run browser-based synthetics from around the world and understand what is the performance of my application wherever I am. Big step forward. And again, we have this really nice ability. You can run it in your local open source or in your pre-production environment, and you can run it in synthetics and tie those things together. Give you all your web vitals that you need. All right, where else have we been doing? I want to talk a little bit about OpenTelemetry. OpenTelemetry, we're all bought in that this is going to be the answer for everybody. It makes observability ubiquitous, and it hasn't necessarily delivered on all those promises yet. Yes, if you instrument your applications with OpenTelemetry, you can send your data to multiple different vendors. However, if you are using a vendor-specific agentry, you can't go ahead and receive that data into an OpenTelemetry format. Well, we went and open sourced and released the OpenTelemetry Datadog receiver. This is inside OpenTelemetry and the OpenTelemetry collector, and this allows you to send your Datadog metrics to your OpenTelemetry collector, whether it's the open source one or Grafana Alloy, and then you can send it to whatever vendor you like. We might prefer you send it to Grafana Cloud, but this gives you a way for you to migrate from Datadog over to another vendor. This is really helps deliver on OTel's promise of no lock-in. And we're really excited about this upstream. We also have the ability for you to convert Grafana or Datadog dashboards directly over to Grafana Cloud dashboards through that migration process to help assist you, which is exciting. All right, next I want to step into Drilldown apps. So we just renamed, we used to have the Explore apps, but now we have the Drilldown apps. And Metrics Drilldown and Logs Drilldown were GA'd late last year. These are new ways for you to interact with your log and metrics data. We've heard again and again that it can be hard for people to know PromQL and get in and really find the changes that are happening there. And we wanted to figure out a way to really make your data more accessible. And lo and behold, the Metrics Drilldown apps provide just this. They make it possible for anyone, no matter their experience, to get curious and look through your data set and find the changes and what metrics and which labels are impacted in seeing the changes around this. This has been really, really exciting because we've actually seen a triplet in use over the last 3 months. We've seen tripled use in these drill down apps in order to make this data more accessible. And all of a sudden, we're starting to unlock the data from just your experienced engineers to everybody on your team so you can understand what's happening with your metrics and your logs. Metrics drill down provides, we continue to innovate in this area, so we now provide better related metrics there. We allow you to filter your drill down metrics by prefix. We're also using machine learning in order to bubble up the related metrics to an individual, knowing which metrics are changing in a similar pattern to the one that you're drilling into. With logs drill down, we're again improving on that as well. So it now automatically visualizes all of the stored fields in your structured Loki metadata. That's really nice if you happen to be using OTel, because all those structured data allows you to explore as you're going through that. And we're working on this now supports streaming, and you can actually get your logs that are coming back, and you can explore them as they're streaming and coming back. So the investment that we've made in these metrics and logs drill downs has really paid off. It's paid off to the tune of like, hey, we want to double down on this bet. And right now we have public previews for traces drill down and profiles drill down. This provides the exact same experience for you to visually get curious and explore your tracing data and your profile data to understand what's changing in your system and moving forward from that. It's really the next step on unlocking your data, and all these are available in Grafana Cloud, but they're also available in open source as well, and unlocking your data. So together, this allows you to basically have 3 ways to explore your signals that you're sending to Grafana. You can do code and write PromQL, write LogQL, and I know there's some experts out here in the room who can write these queries in ways that you can find insights that I didn't even know were possible. And we want to support those experts in the room. We also have a low-code assisted query builder, which allows you to build your query based on the metrics and labels it's finding, and helps teach you PromQL and LogQL as you go through that process. And now we have this queryless experience, which allows you to get curious and drill down into that data and find insights with your own without knowing any of the query languages. It's a nice step forward. All right, I want to go and step into a recorded demo here of what Explore Traces could mean for your team.
So let's imagine a scenario. I'm an engineer and I've been paged. There are a ton of errors occurring on our website, and my goal is to figure out what's happening. So as you know, we break down our red metrics by rate, error, and duration, and we allow you to select one of those here in Traces Drill Down. So I know errors are occurring, so I'm going to hit the Errors panel. Now this updates my view for me, and straight away I can see that my gateway service is in fact experiencing a lot of errors. So I'm going to hit Add to Filters. And now what I want to do is dive in a little bit further. Okay, so I'm going to hit the Comparison tab, which shows me the difference between my baseline, which is traces without errors, to my selection, which is traces with errors. And I can see straight away that the attributes are ordered by those with the most errors, of which name is in fact having a lot of errors. So I'm going to hit Inspect, and if I scroll down a little bit, I can see that Purchase is in fact receiving 100% of the errors at the moment. So I'm going to add that to my filters as well. And what I can do now is hit the Error Traces tab, which shows me a list of those errors from which I can select any I like. So I'm going to go with the first one. And what it does is it pops out this nifty side panel drawer, which shows me the trace that is erroring. And from there, I can look through the various spans. And I can see straight away that the cart service is in fact experiencing the issue itself. Now I can do this a little bit quicker if I like. We have introduced exemplars, which is basically a link between metrics, that's trace metrics, and the traces themselves. So I can see here that I have quite a lot of exemplars, so quite a lot of errors in fact, and I can hit any one of those that I like, which will open up the trace again. Now let's imagine at the same time I am in fact receiving another page that is the website is running slowly for certain requests. So what I do is I hit my duration, red metric, and from the breakdown I can see straight away that Gateway is in fact experiencing quite a lot of slow requests. So what I'll do is I'll add that to my filters, And what I can do now, again, is hit the comparison. And the comparison will tell me which attributes are the slowest, essentially, which are running the slowest requests. So I know it's already in a URL, so I'm just going to type in URL, hit inspect, and I can see straight away that profile is in fact experiencing slow requests. So I'm going to add that to my filters. And what I can do now is hit the slow traces tab. And that lists the slowest traces out for me. 3.7 seconds is quite slow. I'm going to hit that one, take a look. And I can in fact see that the critical path for this one is the slowest. And if I look in a little bit further, I can see in fact there is an event where the mutex acquire is taking quite a long amount of time. So it would be best for me to sort this out and remove this issue first.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for that, Joey. And then just what I love about this is it allows people to get curious about their data, explore around, and actually discover insights that may not actually be related to an insight, but help you understand your system and then communicate about it. I'm going to stop and introduce Manoj. He's a VP of Engineering. He's going to talk a little bit about AI/ML and root cause analysis.
Thank you, Mark. Hey, everyone. Great to be here. I live in Bay Area, so it was a short commute for me. So thanks, Mark, for making all the way from Denver. And who is a Warriors fan here? Okay, are you all excited about all the comeback that Warriors is making? I'm super excited about that. And so, okay, let's jump right in. So we're going to talk about AI/ML. So at Grafana Labs, we have been playing with this whole idea of AI/ML, what it could mean for us for a while. Now, obviously, you guys are all watching all the new transformations happening in this industry. So today we'll talk about what's our approach, what we have been doing, and where we are going with this thing. So let's start right away. So the goal of the way we have been thinking about it is that the ML, the machine learning, has been around for a while, and it's a branch of AI as we all know it. So we started a journey a couple of years ago to solve this problem where you're sending a lot of metrics to the Grafana cloud, but you don't need them all the time, quite simply. And you have labels in those metrics, which you may need sometime, but not all the time. And we internally inside the Grafana Labs, we run our ops cluster. We had the same issue. So the team started figuring it out. How can we really aggregate away all the labels which are unused by the user? Now, how do we know which are unused? So quite simply, as a user of the Grafana Cloud or your Prometheus system, you are writing a lot of dashboards or building a lot of recording rules. Or you could be using a Grafana integrations, which has already enabled a bunch of dashboards and alerts for you. So we continuously analyze this list of queries and which ones are used most frequently. And based on that, we will make automatic recommendations on which labels can be aggregated away in your metric. And now with the drill down apps that Mark was talking about, we will even analyze your search patterns. So as you are drilling down through your metrics in random directions, we'll look at, which metric this user always goes back to, so do not aggregate away the labels in that. So it's continuously learning in the background through our machine learning and automatically making recommendations. And most recently, we added a feature where you can enable the recommendations to be applied automatically. You don't even have to go there. And if you trust the systems, you try it for a while, and you trust the system, you can have the system automatically apply that for you. So that's been working really, really wonderful for us. You can see the savings that a lot of customers have been using it. They've been on our ObsCON talks, and probably somebody else also talking today about it. But what we are most excited about is based on this learning, we took it to the next level for logs. The logs we always love, right? Like metrics and logs, the two foundational pillars of observability. So we obviously want those logs to be there all the time, but at the same time, we always throw those info logs. You know what I'm talking about, right? So I love those info logs. When I'm in deep shit, so I need those info logs, right? If this line of code is executing or not. But it's almost like an insurance policy. I don't need it all the time, but I can bring it back when I want to. So that's the idea of adaptive logs now. So a very similar principles. We literally went GA at ObsCON New York City last year, and it's been on fire. A lot of customers are loving it. There are almost 200 customers already on it in production, saving at least 20 to 40%. This is the savings that we do it inside Grafana Cloud. But let me quickly explain how this thing works, right? So back to the whole info example. So I have all those logs coming to the Grafana Cloud. And as they're coming in, we are using this algorithm called Drain. You might have heard of it. It's a pretty popular algorithm. So Drain is helping us figure out all the different patterns in your log lines. So we're discovering all the patterns, and we are starting to score them. So how do we score them? The way scoring is happening is essentially just like we do with adaptive metrics, where we're looking at user patterns. So what kind of dashboards you have built, or queries you're firing, or even drill down logs is another guide for us now to tell us like which log lines you often go back to. So then we will start ranking, okay, you ingested 1 million lines or 1 terabyte of info logs, but you queried probably 5 of those in last 15 days period. It's a rolling time period we're looking at. So you can probably drop them or keep only 1% of it. It's really make recommendations. Do you want to keep 100% or 50% or 100 or just 1% of it? But the beauty of that is you can, if you're in an incident and you want those info logs back, with just a click of a button, you can start bringing them back. So it's getting ingested at the time of ingestion. It's getting dropped because you don't use it, but when you need it, you can bring it back at a moment's notice. And you can even actually configure it per team, per service. So like this service is just going live in production. You don't want to do the same rule to apply everywhere. The info log should be there for my low usage service because I just went to production. Absolutely, go for it. You can totally do that. So you can configure it any way you like. And a lot more exciting features coming on that. Come for the talk we are doing in the afternoon with Travis and Chris. So they will be diving deeper into this talk. So we almost, this is too cool to be true. So we want to do this for traces and profiles, all the signals for observability. So the adaptive traces and adaptive profiles are basically inspired by the story of metrics and logs that we have been working for some time now. And so just last year, around September, we had Tail Control, which is founded by Sean Porter. Sean Porter is the founder of Sensu. He has been in the space for his lifelong. And so Sean had his new startup called Tail Control, and he joined us at Grafana Labs. And we have been working on what we're calling as adaptive traces, and that's coming out really well. So and it's I'm excited to share that we will have a private preview very soon. So if you're interested, again, talk to the experts and then sign up for that. But the idea is very simple. Traces have a lot more structure to the data, so we actually know which are the error traces, the latency traces, so we can have way more faster and more intelligent sampling than even metrics and logs, where you may not quite know which one is important, which one is not. So, and adaptive profiles is obviously also in works. Again, come and talk to us in the expert booth. We'll tell you more about it. Now, continuing on the track, this whole idea of large language model is hot in many people's head, and there's some of us who are actually training those LLMs, because we want to run our own LLMs, in our in-house systems. So, or using the LLMs big time, right? Like we do in Grafana Labs. So we have been working 2 projects. This is both in open source, so you can absolutely participate, and it's in GitHub. So 2 projects which is giving us insights into how the people who are training the LLMs can instrument the CUDA calls with our eBPF agent, which is known as Bela. So Bela agent it's an eBPF-based agent. It can now instrument CUDA calls, so you can get data on that. And then we also now have integrations for OpenLit project, which is catching up a lot of, it's very popular right now to instrument, like if you're using LLMs or using vector DBs, then it can use OpenTelemetry as the instrumentation signal to send the metrics and traces. And now we have a Grafana dashboard and a Grafana alerts in the Grafana Cloud integration package. So you can use both of these to start looking at your LLM data, either you're training them or actually using them in a production application. Now, okay, let me jump into the next section, which is about troubleshooting. Now, before I jump into that, I'll tell you a quick story about myself. So I joined Grafana Labs about 1.5 years ago, as part of an acquisition called Asserts. And so me and my team, we were all together in AppDynamics for many, many years before that. And we had this big, I would say, like big trouble using our own product back in AppDynamics, which was like troubleshooting was still hard. You had a lot of metrics and logs and traces with us, but when it comes to correlating signals between infra and app, and when I say infra, I don't necessarily mean it's running something that I'm running myself. I could be running in CloudWatch. I mean, I'm running with AWS or Amazon or Google. So oftentimes the dashboard or the metrics are in a different location, in a different place, in a different system altogether, and to see them all together was always a challenge for us. And only the principal engineers and the distinguished engineers could do it, or the people who have been around and wrote the code, right? So the goal was to how can we make it easier, faster for every new engineer in my team. So that was the genesis of Asserts. And then when we joined Grafana, we kind of took it to the next level by starting bringing together all the different Grafana products into the Asserts meta model. And we'll talk about that with the live demo shortly. But the way the troubleshooting works today for all of us is that we have 20 dashboards, which are scattered around, I mean, including in Grafana Cloud, admittedly, where there's the Kubernetes app, there's a front-end app, there's the OpenTelemetry app, then there is the metrics and logs are not always labeled. When I say label, I mean, like, how do you know which one is the request metrics, what's the latency metric? So the labels may not be there always. So how do you know which one to correlate where? And then each of this, we have synchronous architecture, asynchronous architecture. They have common patterns, but they're not always. Can you visualize them in a uniform way, right? So that was the challenge that we're trying to solve. And the way we went about it is that, so as you're ingesting the data into Grafana Cloud, what we'll do is we will apply machine learning and learn about which are the different kind of signals you're coming in and start labeling them. So this labeling will help us build what we're calling as a knowledge graph that will automatically stitch together your infra components and app components and build a graph database out of it. And then we'll start running all the alerting rules on top of it. You don't have to write them. We have written that all there for you. So we'll automatically figure out your anomalies, your saturations, your failures, and your deployments, and bring it all together into what we're calling as this workbench. Now, it's going to be interesting where next 5 minutes, I'm going to watch myself, a recording of me talking at New York City. So I'm going to play the video, okay? So I hope I sound the same, okay? Okay, so let's get started. Now, we know about symptom-based alerts. We all know about it. We call them SLOs. But how do you make SLOs easy? I go and talk to engineering leaders. I don't know. How do you even create SLO? How do I know I should be creating an SLO on this or not? So the first thing we did is improve the whole SLO experience in Grafana Cloud. Let's say I'm running a web app. I have a front-end service, and I pick up the service name. I said, OK, I want to create SLO for this. I'm just a new guy. I know there's a front-end app there. I'll pick the app name, and I'll create SLO for that, right? So now I've already done that here. So if I go back to my SLO screen here, now what's happened is, once you create SLO, the beauty of what we did is that as the telemetry is getting ingested, we're automatically tagging these metrics. The system knows what's the request metric, what's the error metric, what's the duration metric, what are the CPU and disk metrics. It's tagging those metrics as it is coming to the Grafana Cloud. So it's automatic. You don't have to do the work. If you already have a custom metrics, just bring it on, right? We'll show you how to do that yourself. But in this case, the front-end data coming from our Faro agent is already labeled. So if you're using open source Faro agent, set it on, and we will label it and have it available to you. So I have this SLO created, pretty simple, right? Error total, request total, look at the ratio, and tell me if something went wrong. It cannot be easier than this. So now I have an alert that fired. I'm kind of simulating some errors here. It fired yesterday while I was in New York City. And there's a nice little link here. Calls, take me to the RCA workbench, right? So, I just click on it. Now, what happened here is that every time you create an SLO or an alert, it'll automatically link you back. It'll look at the service label or the job label and automatically take you to the connected services. So it's kind of scanning the system and quickly figured out, OK, the front-end app is connected to all the services. And I'm going to pull all these things and show you all the potential causes, the troubleshooting gates. And in this case, we call them assertions or checks. So there is a quick graph here. If you want to get curious and want to take a look at this thing, you can quickly understand what part of the architecture is in trouble. And here I have this thing called front-end proxy that is sending all the requests to front-end service, and it looks like it's ranked to the very top here. So it's like highest score. We have a scoring this based on what I call as an assertion score. They get time and space analysis. So it's pulled to the very top. So that's interesting. Now I want to really curious. Okay, this alert fire, were my end users affected? We always care for Tom talked about synthetic. I love synthetic. It's cool. But there's real fun in real user monitoring, right? Synthetic will not catch real user monitoring. So I'm going to ask the system, hey, dude, can you tell me if any users were affected? So I'm going to click on this button called Find Me Problematic Connections. So every time you ask this question to Asserts, what it does, it again walks the graph, right? It'll walk the graph and pull in all the relevant information. So in this case, it is now pulled in the front-end client at the very top, ranked to the very top, and I'm going to quickly look at the summary view here. Oh, it looks like all those different endpoints, the product endpoint, the card endpoint, are having massive amount of errors. So I can quickly jump into the front-end observability, right? So we have a fully React app that is built for front-end data only, right? So Grafana already has for Kubernetes, for application observability, for OpenTelemetry, for your browser data, everything is kind of built in. But now it is taking you to that part of the app, and quickly you can start browsing and launch front-end observability and get into more details, error logs and error sessions and everything else. I will not do that. Now, let's come back to the app, right? So, OK, this is all based on the score. But what if I want to know what order the sequence of things happened? So I'm going to quickly sort by time, right? So time and space, the two dimensions, our brain is trying to weave this information and transcribe into a root cause analysis, right? So here, so when I switch to time, I can see there is a feature flag service that was triggered on. So somebody decided to turn on a feature flag. We are modern development, continuously releasing features and turning them on in production, right? So when the feature was turned on, right then there, the front-end client having a lot of errors, and this catalog service seems to be the biggest troublemaker. So if I take a quick look here, it's having pod crash looping and application errors. So I want to jump into the relevant, again, dashboards, right? So I want to look at my Kubernetes monitoring data. I want to look at my OpenTelemetry data, all the data, application observability, Kubernetes monitoring. Everything is already part of Grafana Cloud. It's already there. So we weaved this intelligence into all the Grafana Cloud products. It was like Avengers assemble, and we built it.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for watching me. So that's been a fun journey, and we launched it at the New York ObsCON last year. And it's been pretty fun. BlackRock was there with us on stage. They were one of our design partners, and it's the world's largest asset management company. And they have been using it in production at large scale. And we have 100+ more customers now already using Asserts for their production traffic. So very excited about that. And it's available as to all the Grafana Cloud Advanced customers. So if you're already in Grafana Cloud, it's a cloud-only product. It's not available in OSS. So you can absolutely enable this feature on your data. Pretty easy, just a quick click of a button. Now, what I'm most excited about is to talk about the next evolution of our journey here, right? So we all love our large language models. So what happened is last year, it was interesting, right? And we have been playing with these large language models for a while. So we had the knowledge graph that I was just talking about, and we have been feeding it more and more data. Like we just talked about Kubernetes app only, the front-end only data, and now we are even starting to play with service catalog data, like from Backstage and from other places. So the knowledge graph is getting enriched with more and more data and more integrations in the Grafana cloud world. And now the assertions are literally the signals that are constantly getting gathered. So what if we could feed this graph data into an LLM and see what comes out? And that's what I'm most excited about. This is still in research, still in work. So what I'm going to share next is the screenshot of what we have been starting to use it in our own internal ops cluster and what it is producing. So the idea being that the workbench that I was showing you before can get pretty busy for large complex apps. We run Mimir, which is a very, very complex system with lots of Kafka queues and multiple microservices. It gets really complex very quickly. So we have a lot of assertions. And what if we could have an LLM help us literally look at the data and then build hypotheses out of that, right? And we can quickly say, oh yeah, I know this problem. I know what to do with it, right? Anyway, it's early days, so stay tuned. We will be announcing it as we make progress with this thing. But I'm super excited about all the assisted features that we can bring it with the large language models, because these language models, they love text. You give them good text, they come out with really good summarized text, okay? That's what I've learned, definitely. So that's working really well for us. So thank you. And with that, I would like to invite Marc back to take us home.
Nice job. Yeah, so that was a lot we just covered. Here's kind of a little bit of an overview. We're talking about making LGTM easier for all of your companies and make it easy for your entire organization to get going very quickly. We're talking about how we're bringing AI ML into all of your signals so that you can use them more cost effectively and make them easier to use. And then finally, we're talking about how we're using the Asserts knowledge graph in order to understand what's been happening, whether it's your infrastructure in Kubernetes or whether your applications in OTel moving forward. And this is a huge place that we're investing. There are so many great talks today. They are going to deep dive into a number of these and moving forward from there. So I highly recommend that you get engaged with everybody today.